Games offer challenge, entertainment, and escape from our lives. But some games have games within them that offer challenge, escape, and entertainment from the game. It's GAMECEPTION. Let's take a look at the 20 best games within other games. Sometimes full games, and sometimes just a taste. These games have existing games hidden inside.
Buenos días.
Point-and-click adventure games were all the rage in the early 90s, and one of the most prolific developers of the genre was none other than LucasArts. Coming out all the way back in 1987, Maniac Mansion was only their second adventure game. Its sequel, Maniac Mansion 2: Day of the Tentacle, released 6 years later, and was so advanced compared to its predecessor, it included an Easter egg containing the entire first game hidden inside an arcade cabinet found in one of the levels. Those maniacs at LucasArts gave us a true Maniac Mansion 2 for 1. Life sims provide escape from the mundane, repetitive tasks of your life by doing tons of mundane, repetitive tasks. Virtually, the life sim gold standard is Animal Crossing. First released back in 2001, Animal Crossing was absolutely packed with all kinds of secrets and things to do. One of the hundreds of items available to decorate your house with is a set of classic NES games. And these games aren't just for show. You can actually play more than 15 titles, including classics like Donkey Kong. Not only a cool nod to Nintendo's history, but yet another reason to escape for just a little longer. In the before times, when graphics really weren't a thing, we had text-based adventure games. In 1979, the early text adventure game Zork was a primitive example of how PCs could be used for gaming. Of course, gaming has come a long way since the days of Zork, so much so that the whole game was included as a minigame in Call of Duty Black Ops. Playable in its entirety on a secret computer terminal, Zork is a cool example of just how far gaming has come. Naughty Dog has a long history of developing some of the best games of all time. Their first game launched all the way back in 1985, but they really came into their own in 1996 with Crash Bandicoot. At the crossroads between 2D and 3D platformers, Crash Bandicoot has left a lasting legacy on all of gaming. The Uncharted series owes a lot to Crash with its platforming, jungle adventures, and humor. And Uncharted 4 has an awesome little Easter egg paying homage to that legacy. Nathan Drake plays Crash Bandicoot, but it's not just for show either. You get to play through a level yourself. Now, it's not the full game, but even a single level of this game is enough to make it one of the better Easter eggs. Another early 3D platformer that deserves more love is the awesome Donkey Kong 64. Not only did this game help to shape the collectathon 3D platformers, but was also jam-packed with secrets. This is a twofer, with 2 hidden fully playable games. Located in Frantic Factory was the original arcade version of Donkey Kong, which was the only official way to play this game at home at the time. Also in Cranky's lab is Jetpack, a classic from Rareware's library. So Donkey Kong 64 is actually 3 games in one. Doom, the granddaddy of first-person shooters, has been a bedrock of the industry, shaping countless games for over 30 years. In 2016, Doom once again blasted its way to the zeitgeist with a modern take. While further refined in Doom Eternal, the developers at id Software haven't lost sight of their roots. With unlockable full versions of the original Doom and Doom 2, it's a great homage letting you see how far the series has come and where it all started. If you've ever tried to map out the Metroid games chronologically, you know it's a recipe for insanity. The original game is set on the planet Zebes, as Samus fights space pirates who stole Metroids, and then the sequel has her wiping out the Metroids on another planet. But then Super Metroid is almost a remake of the original, with Samus returning to Zebes. But then, Zero Mission is actually a remake of the original, taking elements from Super Metroid and Fusion. The good news is you don't have to do any of that to play Metroid within Metroid Zero Mission. Just beat the game and it unlocks the original. Even if the game chronology makes no sense, the fun of every game in the series is undeniable. Homefront: The Revolution didn't exactly set the world on fire when it released in 2016, yet somehow it was hiding a full version of one of the best games within it. A full version of Time Splitters 2 in native 4K was locked within the game for 5 years. Hackers eventually hacked the code needed to unlock the game. Easy to find these days, once you enter the code, you'll get one of the best versions of one of the best first-person shooters within one of the most mediocre shooters ever. There's nothing quite like the Yakuza series. Yeah, some people say they're like Japanese GTA, but those people don't know what they're talking about. Unlike the bombastic, chaos-fueled insanity of GTA, Yakuza revels in the smaller, more minute details hidden around every densely packed corner. One such detail throughout the franchise are the Sega arcades, a celebrated part of Japanese history. While no longer owned by Sega today, in Yakuza, these arcades hold many classics, from Outrun to Virtua Fighter, all playable in their entirety, and some of them being the only Western releases available too. Is there anything more meta than finding the older installment within the game you're playing? In Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, you may have stumbled across this meta reference on your ship. Within Club Kreisau, there's an arcade machine titled Wolfstone 3D, which is essentially the classic Wolfenstein 3D game. Not a bad little two for the price of one, since you can play the classic game in its entirety. Adding to the depth and richness of their worlds, these next games house fully original games. There are few dystopian visions more horrifying than Observer. There's little respite from the relentless dreariness as you investigate the brutal murders in the tenement building against the backdrop of societal collapse. However, your cybernetically augmented detective can take some time out from the waking nightmares to play the minigame Fire and Sword Spiders. Each level of this arcade puzzler gets progressively harder as you master staying one step ahead of an endless stream of hungry spiders. Waiting at the end of each level is a princess and her goal-dependent affections. A brief but needed moment of joy in this oppressive world. The Star Ocean series has been a staple for RPG fans for nearly 3 decades. With its mix of fantasy and sci-fi, there's no shortage of creativity on offer, like the super addictive in-world game called Isoa in Star Ocean: The Divine Force. 1 part card battler, without the cards, and 1 part chess, Isoa is a fun little diversion that you can sink dozens of hours into as you take on better and better challengers throughout the towns, villages, and spacecraft. Get good enough, and you can become the ultimate champion in the postgame. What can be said that hasn't already been about The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt? My god, this game's incredible, with a huge, densely packed world, an incredibly engaging story with side content that rivals other games' main stories, and endless things to do. Nestled within the sleepy villages and medieval cities is a little card game called Gwent. Similar to Magic: The Gathering, with 4 different factions and a variety of combat, ability, and effect cards, there are endless possibilities for setting up decks and securing victory. The game became so popular that people started collecting rare cards for their decks and setting up matches online, which led CD Projekt to releasing the standalone Gwent card games. Grand Theft Auto. With an almost infinite number of things to see and do, you might be surprised just how much time you spent on Cubed. Found in bars and clubs across several GTA games, this Candy Crush-like puzzle game has you stacking colored blocks to connect 4 to make them disappear, giving you points. It's simple fun, but it's just another of the many incredibly complex details the developers at Rockstar are known for. Sometimes what makes a game within a game so good is just how much it feels like it could be a real-life game. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Orlog is a completely made-up dice and pebble game, but the carefully crafted stone and wood game pieces make it seem like it was ripped straight out of history. It's a mix of dice, Mancala, and even Gwent from The Witcher 3, and is an excellent way to take a break from slaying Vikings. A physical version of this game was released, so you can play this game in your own overly massive open world. Chess has been around for hundreds of years, and likely will be around in some form for hundreds more, albeit with some evolutions along the way. Machine Strike is a chess-like game that you can spend time mastering when not hunting robotic dinosaurs in Horizon Forbidden West. With stat modifiers for pieces, the game takes some time to learn, but once you do, it's a challenging but rewarding diversion. Red Dead Redemption. Similar to GTA, there's no shortage of things to do. Some towns in the western setting are seemingly built around bars and brothels, filled with poker, five-finger fillet, and the most fun of all, Liar's Dice. It's a simple game similar to Yahtzee, but the simplicity makes it incredibly addicting, and many cowboys will find they've spent far too much time and money sitting at the table. Bet you didn't know Geometry Wars wasn't originally a standalone game. What might be even more surprising is it was originally a minigame in Project Gotham Racing. Yeah, in the back of the garage where you'd fix up your cars, there were arcade cabinets with playable games, one of which was Geometry Wars. A visually stunning take on asteroids, Geometry Wars Retro Evolved was at one point the most downloaded game on Xbox Live Arcade. It involves shooting colorful geometric shapes and attempting to stay alive as long as possible against ever-increasing swarms of enemies. Often overshadowed by more popular entries, Final Fantasy VIII returned the series to the medieval setting while pushing the genre forward with its vast world, deep lore, and intricate systems. Triple Triad is just one of the many things to tout about Final Fantasy VIII. This famous in-world card game has you battling your opponent on a 3x3 grid. Each of the different cards has unique stats, elements, and abilities. Winning can grant more cards to take on other challengers. Once you get the hang of everything, it can be quite the time sink before you know it. Triple Triad is also playable in Final Fantasy XIV, where it's been given a fresh coat of paint. You know how it is. After breaking out of prison, you need some fun distractions to unwind. As an experience built around co-op, A Way Out is bursting with all kinds of side activities to do together, from rounds of Connect 4 to arm wrestling and even fun on the seesaw. At one point, you'll come across an arcade machine for the game Grenade Brothers, which is not unlike Pong in how it plays. Yes, it's simple, but super addicting. And don't be surprised if you lose hours playing against your fellow former inmate. Okay, what's your favorite games within games? And what Gameception game did I miss? If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. And if you want some more gaming goodness, check out my video right here. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.